Combat in 5e Dungeons and Dragons. Combat in 5e is built around action compression. A round is 6 seconds. Each creature gets one turn, and on that turn it usually gets movement, one action, and sometimes one bonus action. Reactions sit outside the turn structure and reset at the start of your next turn. That means good combat play is not just do damage, it is getting full value out of your action, bonus action, movement, and reaction, while denying the other side the same. A side that wastes turns, bonus actions, or reactions bleeds efficiency fast. Bonus actions are not automatic, so builds live or die on whether they actually use them. 5e does not give everyone a default bonus action. You only get one if a feature, spell, or rule specifically grants one, and you only get one per turn. That matters because many strong 5e turns are strong precisely because they stack an action with a meaningful bonus action, extra mobility, offhand pressure, healing, or persistent damage rider. Characters that routinely end turns with unused bonus actions often look fine on paper, but underperform in actual combat. Movement is more flexible than many players treat it, and that changes how strong positioning is. You can split movement before and after actions, and if you have multiple attacks, you can even move between them. That means 5e rewards repositioning more than a lot of casual play suggest. You can step out, attack, relocate, and force the enemy to spend movement or provoke. Terrain matters too. Difficult terrain taxes movement. Prone taxes half your speed to stand. And squeezing makes you easier to hit while hurting your own attacks. A lot of sloppy 5e combat comes from people playing as if their turns are static instead of using the movement rules aggressively. Opportunity attack matters, but they do not lock the battlefield down nearly as hard as many players assume. An opportunity attack is one melee attack triggered when a hostile creature you can see moves out of your reach, and it costs your reaction. Disengage shuts it off for the turn. Enforced movement or teleportation does not trigger it. That means frontline control in 5e is softer than in some players' HIDs. Merely standing beside an enemy does not truly pin it unless you have class features or feats that make leaving costly. This is why smart play is less about I am a tank, so they must stay on me, and more body placement, choke points, reach, threat layering, and forcing bad pass. Cover is one of the most underused combat rules in 5e, even though the system clearly rewards it. Half cover is +2 AC and dexterity saves. 3/4 cover is +5 AC and dexterity saves. And total cover blocks direct targeting entirely, because creatures can also provide cover. Battle lines and firing lanes matter more than many tables play them. Ranged and spell attacks become much less reliable when the field is cluttered, and combat gets much sharper when people stop acting like open line shots are always available. If a table ignores cover, it is flattening one of the real tactical layers 5e actually has. Ranged attackers are strong in 5e, but only if the line holds. Range attacks suffer disadvantage if a hostile creature is within 5 feet of you, can see you, and is not incapacitated. That rule applies to ranged weapon attacks and ranged spell attacks. So the back line only stays efficient if someone keeps pressure off it, the caster relocates properly, or the party uses terrain and spacing well. Once enemies reach the shooters, ranged efficiency drops hard unless the player has a clean disengage, teleport, control effect, or a fallback plan. Ready, dodge, help, shove, and grapple are real combat tools, not desperation actions. Ready lets you set a trigger and spend your reaction later, which means timing and battlefield timing matter. Dodge imposes disadvantage on incoming attacks you can see and gives advantage on dexterity saves until your next turn, which is often stronger than making one weak attack. Help can feed advantage. Grapple and shove replace attacks inside the attack action, and if you have multiple attacks, one of those attacks can become control instead of damage. That is a big deal. 5e absolutely contains combat control inside the core action rules, not just in spells. Too many players tunnel on attack rolls and miss that the system already gives them ways to alter position, force prone, or buy time. Concentration is one of the main balancing levers in 5e combat. Many of the strongest ongoing combat spells require concentration. You cannot concentrate on two at once. Taking damage can force constitution saves to maintain one, and being incapacitated drops it automatically. That means casters are powerful, but their best battlefield effects are fragile if enemies can pressure them. It also means good spell use is not just pick a strong spell, but pick the right concentration spell for this fight and protect it. Once you understand that, a lot of 5e combat stops looking like raw spell dominance and starts looking like concentration management. The bonus action spell rule shuts down a lot of sloppy casting assumptions. If you cast a spell as a bonus action, the only other spell you can cast on that same turn is a cantrip with a casting time of one action. That rule matters because it limits how explosive a caster's turn can be and forces real sequencing choices. You do not just stack whatever two-leveled spells feel good in the same turn. A lot of broken caster turn talk from casual 5e discussion falls apart once this timing rule is applied correctly. 5e favors removing enemy actions more than spreading damage around. The rules do not reduce enemy output until a creature hits 0 hit points. Creature functions normally right up until that point. Since each creature still gets its full turn until dropped, focus damage has obvious value. On top of that, prone, grapple, bottlenecks, cover denial, and concentration breaks all attack enemy effectiveness without needing raw damage numbers alone. So the real lesson is that 5e combat is won by reducing enemy ability to act cleanly, whether that is through killing targets, breaking concentration, pinning movement, or forcing them into low-value turns. Survivability in 5e is not fake just because resurrection exists. At 0 hit points, you start making death saves on your turn. Damage at 0 causes failed death saves. Crits at 0 causes 2 failures, and enough damage can inflict instant death. Stabilizing costs an action unless healing is used. So while 5e is more forgiving than older playstyles, it still punishes reckless positioning, especially if the enemy can finish down targets or if the healer loses tempo. Casual tables often soften this, but the written rules still make dropping dangerous. The rest system changes what good combat play even means across a day. Short rests are at least 1 hour and allow spending hit dice to recover hit points. Long rests are at least 8 hours, restore all lost hit points, and only work once per 24 hours. That means some classes and builds are better when the table actually plays resource attrition across multiple fights, while others look stronger when the day is short and the group can unload everything. A lot of bad 5e combat analysis ignores that the system bounces shift depending on whether the table is actually putting pressure on rest and resource recovery. The bottom line. The real core of 5e combat is not builds or cinematic moments. It is turn efficiency, movement flexibility, cover, reaction, pressure, concentration protection, and target removal. The The players who understand those layers usually look much stronger than players who only think in terms of attack rolls and damage dice. I did this up to help my players. I'm going to be running an upcoming 5e D&D game for people who have never played 5e. First time I ever ran 5e was last year. And it's the first Wizards of the Coast D&D edition I've ever ran. I think I've learned it pretty well and learned a lot about combat and other things. I've done some other little write-ups for my group, and they said you should turn some of this into YouTube videos. This would be helpful to other people that want to understand 5e, the combat, and other areas that I've written up a thing for them to learn about it, tricks, hints, and whatnot for them. So I'm going to turn some of it into YouTube videos. I hope you like this. I hope it helps you. Hope it helps you understand the game a little bit better as I am learning, right? But I learn pretty fast. And, I do want to do a review, really an overview of 5e at one point. And this is all part of me learning 5e. Okay, I love you. Take care.